All right, today we're going to dig into a pretty fascinating document. It's called Intel Drop Number 69, and it lays out this incredibly detailed alternative theory about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, our job here isn't to say if it's right or wrong, but simply to walk you through the claims, step by step, as they're presented in the source.
So, right from the get-go, the author, who goes by the name Gideon, makes it crystal clear where they stand. This quote really sets the stage. They're telling us to forget the simple lone gunman story, because what they're about to describe is something far, far more complex. So, to get our heads around this whole thing, we're going to break it down into 5 parts, just like the source does. We'll start with the official story everyone heard, then look at the counterclaims, the supposed motive, the massive conspiracy behind it all, and finally, where the official suspect actually fits in. Okay, first things first. Before we can deconstruct a theory, we have to know what it's up against. So let's quickly recap the accepted mainstream narrative, the very story that Intel Drop 69 is trying to tear down. The story we all heard was straightforward, right? A single shooter, Tyler Robinson, on a roof. One shot, it's clean, it's simple, and it's the official foundation that this entire alternative theory is built to challenge. And now we get into the real meat of the counter-narrative. This is where the source starts to pick apart the physical evidence and present its own forensic analysis. The first major bombshell the document drops is about the location of the shooter. The official story says the shot came from the front, from that rooftop. But this Intel Drop claims, no way. It argues the evidence actually points to a completely different location, a window in a building off to Kirk's right side. And it doesn't just make that claim without trying to back it up. The author points to 4 key things. First, they argue the wound on Kirk's neck was an exit wound, not an entry wound. Second, they cite a video that supposedly shows a muzzle flash from that side window. Third, they ask why rooftop security was so lax. And fourth, they suggest the weapon was a smaller caliber fired from much closer than the rooftop. So, if the how is completely different in this theory, then what about the why? Well, the source proposes a very specific, very timely motive that's tied directly to things Charlie Kirk was saying right before he died. And here's the timeline they lay out. For his entire career, Kirk was a rock-solid supporter of Israel. But then, just months before, he started questioning the October 7th narrative. A few weeks before, he flat-out called Epstein a Mossad agent, and in the final days, he was hosting anti-Israel speakers. The document argues this rapid public turnaround made him a serious problem for some very powerful people. And this is where the theory zooms all the way out. We're moving beyond just the assassination itself and into what the document claims is a massive overarching conspiracy. An operation within an operation. At the very top of this alleged plot is a group the source just calls the Cabal. It's described as this secret global power structure that's really pulling the strings on world events. And in this hierarchy, well-known intelligence agencies are basically just middle management, carrying out the Cabal's orders. So how does a group like that control things? Well, the theory introduces this key strategic concept it calls containment vectoring. The idea is that you don't push one story. Instead, you create multiple, conflicting stories, and you feed each one to a specific audience. It's a way to manage and control everyone's reaction to an event. And here's how the document claims it was used in this case. The left was fed the story that the shooter was a far-right extremist. The right got a story that he was a conservative who was radicalized by Antifa. And meanwhile, anti-Israel groups got the narrative that Mossad did it. The source claims the goal was to get everyone fighting with each other, trapped in their own information bubble, creating total confusion. So if you have this all-powerful cabal controlling all the narratives, you have to be asking, where does the actual alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, fit into this massive puzzle? Well, the final section of the document tackles exactly that. The document really zooms in on this number, 33. That's how many hours passed between the shooting and the moment authorities finally named their suspect. According to the author, that wasn't just a delay. It was a planned, deliberate pause, designed to give the Mossad did it narrative enough time to spread like wildfire before they dropped their official story to counter it. And this all builds to the theory's final explosive claim. Tyler Robinson was a patsy. The document alleges a 4-step frame-up. First, a double who looked like Robinson was on the roof for show. Second, a single piece of evidence, a note, was planted. Third, that note created a digital trail online. And fourth,
That weak, manufactured trail led straight to Robinson's arrest.
So, this final question on screen really gets to the heart of what this document is arguing. We've just walked through its claims, the idea that this public tragedy wasn't what it seemed at all, that it was, according to this one source, a meticulously staged event designed not just to kill someone, but to be the opening shot in a whole new kind of war, a war for control of the narrative itself.